Temporary mortgage interest rate buy down. Those are four words that I hear more and more often here in summer of 2022. And there's a really specific reason why that's being talked about so much. And I want to educate you on what does that really mean? And is it a good idea for me? So what's a temporary mortgage rate buy down? It is essentially the seller paying for a lower interest rate, subsidizing your payment to make it the payment at a lower interest rate for a short period of time. Now, why is that a good idea? It's a good idea if you think like I do that we're going to see lower interest rates in the next 12 to 36 months. Now, why do I think we're going to see lower interest rates in the next 12 to 36 months? Because what we're dealing with right now is inflation that has taken off out of control over the last 12 months, and specifically the first half of 2022. And in response, the mortgage rates have shot up significantly, not because the Federal Reserve raised their rates, but because inflation went up, mortgage rates went up. The Federal Reserve has been raising their short-term interest rate in order to fight inflation. And the reason why that's going to ultimately work is because as the Federal Reserve raises short-term interest rates, people stop spending as much money. Companies stop investing in new factories and new products because it's more expensive to borrow the money to actually do the investing into those new things. And so inflation is going to slow down because people aren't going to spend as much money on their credit cards. Companies aren't going to spend as much money investing into new plants and new technologies. And we're going to see the economy slow down and inflation is going to go down. But what that's going to lead to is a recession. And everybody thinks of the most recent large recession. There was a recent one in 2020, but that one was super small. The most recent large recession was the Great Recession in 2007 to 2009. The Great Recession caused housing prices to crash. It actually didn't cause housing prices to crash. It was correlated or timed along with housing prices dropping. And people feel like, hey, you know what? A recession is bad for the housing market, bad for interest rates, bad for mortgages. But that's not actually the truth. The truth is, in every other recession other than 2007 to 2009, we both had interest rates dropping because the Federal Reserve is dropping their short-term rates, and we have housing prices staying the same or going up. Because when interest rates go down, people look at housing to be more attractive. So I don't think we're going to see a housing crash at all. And I'll tell you that it's all about household formations, how many people are moving out and buying or renting a new home. And there's a huge amount of households that are going to be formed in the next 5 years, not enough homes for those households. So whether they're renting or whether they're buying, they're putting pressure on prices of rents to go up and prices of homes to go up. So what does that mean to interest rates? What it means is when we hit a recession, the Federal Reserve's first job is controlling inflation. The second job is to keep unemployment low. Well, when you hit a recession, unemployment shoots up because companies stop growing, companies stop investing, and unemployment shoots up. So the government needs to immediately turn around and do the opposite of what they've been doing and try and spur the economy back on so that they can get unemployment back down. And they do that by lowering interest rates. So I believe we're going to see lower interest rates in the next 12 to 36 months. So now people say, John, I still don't know why I should do a temporary buy down. I should do a permanent buy down because that will lower my interest rate for the life of the loan. Well, there's a couple of reasons why you shouldn't do a permanent buy down. The first reason you shouldn't do a permanent buy down is because you're investing that money, you're spending that money by prepaying a certain amount of fee. Check out my video on how I can help you negotiate to get now. I'll give you a great example. Check out all my videos. Subscribe to my $1,000 like, share, and click that notification. You're saving $100. Have a great weekend. Call me if I can. Well, that's a deal. And we'll talk to you soon. Because after 10 months, after 10 months, you will have saved the $1,000 that you had spent. That's your break-even point. Clearly, you're going to have this loan for longer than 10 months. That would be a good deal. But what if I said for $1,000, you're going to save $10 a month? Well, now that's going to take 100 months or just about 9 years to make back or break even on your money. Now, some people are going to say, John, that's still a great deal because I have a 30-year loan. And so I'm going to have 21 more years that I'm going to save that $10 a month. The truth is the average person gets rid of their mortgage after 5 to 6 years on average. Now, if you did a loan 2 years ago and you're at a 2.5% interest rate, you're going to keep that loan longer. Now, you're still going to get rid of it. You're still going to move. You're still going to need to pull cash out of the home, something, but you're likely to keep it longer because the chances of rates being low enough for you to improve on that are pretty slim. But if you're buying a home or getting a loan today, we're in the mid to high 5% range, depending upon the day. If rates even go back down to the low fours, you're going to refinance, especially if they get back down into the threes. So that guy with the 2.5% rate's not going to refinance. But buying a home today, you are going to refinance in the next couple of years. But today is the perfect opportunity to buy a home because you don't have as much competition. We've had huge amounts of competition over the last 2 years, and people who had small down payments or had a home to sell, they could not get their offer accepted. And I believe the same thing is going to happen as soon as interest rates go back down. We still have a huge amount of demand of people who want to buy homes. They're just afraid right now. Well, now is the opportunity for you to jump in, get a home. The problem is that monthly payment, because the interest rate's so high right now. You're like, John, I can't get a home right now. I'm going to wait until rates come back down. But that's the point of the temporary buy down, because the temporary buy down saves you the money when you need it, which is right now. And also, one of the best features of a temporary buy down is that the money is not wasted. Let's pretend that your buy down saves you $700 a month for the first year. And what if interest rates drop in 6 months? So you've got $700 a month you save for the first 6 months, but you have $700 a month that you were supposed to save for the following 6 months. And you might say, John, I don't want to refi because I'm going to lose that temporary savings money that I had sitting there to lower my payment. You're not going to lose it. It's one of the best features. It's a safety net on the temporary rate buy down, because it says that if you pay off the loan through selling or refinancing, and there's still money left over in the pot that was subsidizing your monthly payments, that extra money goes straight towards your balance at the time you're paying off the mortgage. As an example, if you borrowed $450,000 and you had $5,000 left in that pot of money that was helping to subsidize your monthly payments, then when you pay off the mortgage and refinance, instead of your balance being $450,000, they're going to lower it down to $445,000. So you really have the best of both worlds with a temporary rate buy down, because you get all of the money you're spending up front saved in the next 1, 2, or 3 years, depending upon the program and how we set it up. And it gives you the flexibility then that a permanent rate buy down does not give you, because the permanent buy down, when you spent the money to buy down the rate, you have spent that money and you're not getting a penny of it back. So I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes showing you some examples of how the numbers work, just so you understand it and can decide, hey, is this a good idea for me as a buyer? Is this a good idea for me as a seller to package this as part of the marketing to sell my home in today's market? So let me go ahead and share with you some numbers here on my screen. So the first thing that you're going to see here is you're going to see a standard FHA loan. You buy a $500,000 home at a 5.75% interest rate with normal down payment. You're looking down payment and closing costs. You may be $30,000, $33,000, and you have a payment of $3,800 a month. But if you do a 2-1 buy down, a 2-1 buy down means that you save 2% off of your interest rates in the first year and 1% off of the interest rate in the second year. So let me say that again. A 2-1 buy down means that your interest rate, your 30-year fixed rate, is decreased by 2% the first year. Then it's decreased by 1% the second year. And then after that, it's a 30-year fixed rate at the normal starting rate. A 3-2-1 buy down decreases the rate by 3% the first year, 2% the second year, and 1% the third year. So you're actually making a significantly lower payment early on in the process. You're making a lower payment now, which is the time when you need to have your monthly payment lower. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit deeper into these numbers. And what you'll see is you're going to save $600 a month, because you're in the first year, your payment's going to be at 3.75%. So that $600 a month is coming from the seller's money, and we're applying that to the mortgage payment so that you're only paying $32.40 a month. The second year at 4.75, you have a payment of $35.27, or you're saving about $304 a month. And then at the end of the second year, it goes back to the normal payments. A 3-2-1 buy down works the same, except that you're saving 3% in the first year. So now we've got a $860 a month payment savings in the first year, $591 in the second year, $304 in the third year. So this saves you a significant amount of money, but you're going to say, John, what's the cost? Especially if you're a seller or an agent looking at this, the cost is going to be literally the amount of the payment savings over the time that we are saving it. So as an example, in the 2-1 buy down, it's almost $11,000. On the 3-2-1 buy down, it's double that, because you're basically saving 3% the first year, 2% the second year, 1% the third year. So it's $21,000 on the 3-2-1 buy down. So what you need to understand is that how much it costs for the buy down is going to depend on what the interest rate is. It's going to depend on how much down payment the buyer is putting. So lots of sellers say to me, hey, John, if I'm selling a house at $600,000, how much is a 2-1 buy down going to be? Well, if they put a minimum down payment, it's probably going to be about 2.1 to 2.2% to save the buyer 3% off of their interest rate over the first 2 years. But if they're putting a bigger down payment, maybe they're putting 25% down. Now it might be only 1.75% of the purchase price that it's going to cost for that 2-1 buy down. So a 2-1 buy down costs somewhere around 2% plus or minus. A 3-2-1 buy down somewhere around 4% plus or minus, because it matters what the interest rate is that the buyer is qualifying at, and it matters what the down payment amount is. Let me summarize this simply. A temporary buy down is an amazing circumstance that is far better than an adjustable rate mortgage. Because an adjustable rate mortgage, you're banking on, hey, I think rates are going to go down and I'm going to be able to refinance. But what if you're wrong? If you're wrong, interest rates can skyrocket and your rate is not fixed. A temporary buy down is far, far better because it gives you control to save the most amount of money now when you need to save it. And if interest rates don't come back down, you've still got a fixed rate for the remainder of the term. You don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, what happens now? I can't afford my monthly payment. If you're a seller and you want me to put together a scenario like this for the home that you're listing, or if you're a buyer that says, John, this is the right thing for me, and I want to be able to negotiate an offer, including a temporary rate buy down, call me. I'm going to help you strategize. I'll talk to your realtor and help negotiate so that I can help you get all of the advantages to become a homeowner today when you have the best opportunity to get your offer accepted and have a monthly payment that is within a reasonable budget. In the worst case scenario, you know exactly what your long-term payment is going to be. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.